Welcome to Newswatch tonight. Thank you for joining us here on Hope TV. My name is Oluoko Oduor. On the sign language is Elizabeth Wanjiko. Newswatch begins now. Now, 184 members of parliament have today voted to increase the value-added tax on fuel from 8% to 16%, while 88 of their colleagues opposed it following debate at the conclusion of the third reading of the bill yesterday. In today's equally charged debate at the floor of the August House, Minority Leader Opiyo Wandayi stated that the Kenya Kwanza government should have cushioned the so-called hustler from an increment in the cost of fuel, adding that if the Finance Bill 2023 is passed, it will mark the beginning of the fall of the Kenya Kwanza regime. And as Kennedy Kimani now reports, National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, however, defended the tax on fuel, stating that it is the lowest in the East African region.
A heated debate ensued today on the floor of the August House as members of parliament debated on various proposals in the Finance Bill 2023. 184 members of parliament voted to increase the value-added tax on fuel from 8% to 16%, while 88 of their colleagues opposed it. According to the National Assembly Minority Leader Opiyo Wandayi, the increment on the VAT on fuel will increase the cost of living in all aspects.
Madam Chair, we all know for sure that fuel is a driver of our economy on all facets, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if there is one thing that this government should have done to the so-called hustler, was to cushion the hustler from an increment in the cost of fuel. Madam Chair, there's nowhere in the law where we are compelled to have a uniform rate of VAT on all products and services. VAT rates can vary, and they have varied before. Madam Chair, if there is a demonstration of the lack of interest in the welfare of the border, if there's a demonstration of the lack of interest in the welfare of the Mamamboga, it is this decision or attempt by the Kenya Kwanza government to increase VAT on fuel, Madam Chair.
Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, in defense of the fuel tax, stated that even at 16%, VAT on fuel in Kenya is still the lowest in the East African region, with Uganda at 18%.
VAT rate at 16% in the region where our country is a market leader and the strongest economy in this region. VAT in Kenya, even at 16%, is still the lowest. Uganda being at 80% on fuel. Our friends in Tanzania, Rwanda, also at 18%, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we did promise in the campaign that we will reduce taxes and reduction of taxes on fuel, Honorable Speaker.
A Kenya Kwanza MP Gathoni wa Mushomba was gone against the coalition stand on the bill, said that the parliament cannot afford to add more levy on fuel because fuel is a catalyst of everything.
To our citizens of this republic, we cannot afford to add more levy on fuel because fuel is a catalyst of everything from production to marketing and to the welfare of the people. Madam Speaker, I want to be on record that right now our people are suffering and production, especially in our rural areas, is going to go to zero if we add tax on fuel. I therefore would want to say, so that we debate objectively, on to the point. Kenya in the first place is a developing nation. We are not yet developed. I'm hearing noise. Honorable Bensouda, I know you're a teacher, but for now, be the member for Homa Bay. Yes, I'm giving 2 minutes. I want to be very fast. Now, honorable members, we know that, hold on with your point of order. We know that the country is a developing nation. And when we are developing, we must be progressive in any issue that we do. I also agree that we cannot run this country without making strategies on approach. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, after we have taxed nearly everything, there is no need of pretending of executing and implementing a 16% taxation. Honorable Speaker, I want to tell you that this government talked about creation of employment to our youth. which has been proposed by the Kisi woman representative is the border border. And border border sector requires fuel. That is just one. Even the Honorable
The finance bill seeks to raise additional revenue in taxes in the region of 130 billion shillings to finance the Kenya Kwanza administration's 3.6 trillion shillings budget for the 2023-2024 financial year. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Away from that, the Law Society of Kenya LSK on Wednesday held a peace walk in Nairobi to remember their members who lost their lives in line of service, among them the late lawyer Willie Kimani, who was killed in 2016 alongside his client and taxi driver. The commemoration, dubbed the Purple Ribbon, brought together lawyers and advocates from the LSK, the International Justice Mission IJM, as well as family members of the departed heroes of justice. This comes as a 3-judge bench today closed the murder file of the lawyer Willie Kimani, which began 7 years ago. 7 years after his gruesome murder, a move that has been hailed as offering closure and justice to victims, yet also castigated for taking longer than the recommended 3 years to complete and 1 year at the Court of Appeal if an appeal is filed. Grisahati reports.
Cases of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances have continued to be reported in the country, affecting everyone, including members of the judiciary whose mandate is to fight for justice for the vulnerable in the society. To remember and celebrate lawyers and advocates who lost their lives in their quest for justice, the Law Society of Kenya LSK held a peace walk from the Supreme Court to the Milimani Law Courts in Nairobi, advocating for protection from police harassment and intimidation. Addressing the press after the walk, LSK Nairobi branch chair Helen Namisi called for an end to police brutality and extrajudicial killings, noting that the commemorations will be done annually to honor their departed members who met their death while discharging their mandate.
The police, just like ourselves, are representing the society, and we are here to ensure that justice is done. And so today we start this commemoration, and then let it be a lesson to all of us, whether we are learned friends or whether we are members of the public, that really at the end of the day we just want justice and we want fairness, so that if we are discharging our duties, then we should not be threatened, we should not be harassed, we should not be facing brutality. We're simply doing our jobs, and we took an oath to ensure that we protect the rule of law without fear, and we will continue to do that.
Speaking during the memorial service, LSK President Eric Theuri noted that they will not be intimidated as they discharge their duties despite facing threats, adding that the lawyers and advocates who have lost their lives in the line of duty will be remembered for their courage to fight for justice and the truth.
We all come together as a profession and we say, even though we know that we face threats and intimidation in the course of duty, serving the high ideals of justice are so important to us that we will not be cowed, we will not be intimidated, and as those who have gone before us and who have shed their blood and have lost their lives to water the tree of justice will be fondly remembered, not just in our memories, but also in our deeds.
It was an emotional moment for Hannah Kimani, wife to the late lawyer Willie Kimani, who read her tribute during the memorial service. For one of the victims, son to late lawyer, it has been a journey full of agony.
He was a man who stood for his family. A man who was a hero to all who knew him. A man who loved unconditionally, a man who believed in sharing and loving, a man who put a smile on people's faces.
And over the years, things happened. Some things we're not happy about. Nothing happened. The case, nothing has ever happened. You hear this, you hear that, nothing happened. You hear about corruption in the court system, you hear people changing, you hear a lot of the different things. You don't know what to believe and what not to believe.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Thanks for that report. Now, Investment, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria has appeared before the Senate to answer to questions regarding the removal of 35% duty on edible oils and substitute it with 10% export and investment levy, an issue that has put him at loggerheads with a local media station which has alleged that the cost of edible oil was still high. Addressing senators, CS Kuria said he had negotiated a tax incentive with the Treasury to motivate Kenyan farmers to grow palm oil, sunflower, and make the country self-sufficient, adding that counties like Homa Bay have begun growing oil-producing crops in a move that will significantly reduce the cost of cooking oil. The CS further said as per a cabinet approval, the Kenya National Trading Corporation, KNTC, will leverage on its infrastructure and capacity to help stabilize prices of all essential items in instances where price swings of essential items are abnormal and against the public interest. The CS has been in a public spat against the media house and from advertising with it over their stand on the edible oils, a move that has seen media groups castigate the CS over attempts to muzzle the media.
And my fear is that the CS is going to use this privilege of appearance before the Senate to cleanse himself of the accusations that are contained in that motion. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we in the minority side are objecting to his presence in this House, and we would seek your direction on whether or not his presence here today prior to the dispense of this motion would be prejudicial to the same motion.
The Speaker, for the dignity of this House and for the dignity of public service, the Speaker, it will be wrong that a minister, a public servant, who is facing a motion of censure gets the privilege of addressing this Honorable House on any matter touching on his docket. The Speaker, I want to make full disclosure on the floor of this House that Honorable Moses Kuria is a personal friend of mine. But when it comes to matters of public service, the Speaker, friendships take a back seat.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen the proposed motion that Senator Sifuna has submitted on. And therefore, having not seen this proposed motion,
I am not apologizing. First, they should apologize to Gerard and I, whom they have threatened to fire, just for wanting to write an article that is balanced. My friend, I've been a media owner before. I've been a writer in your newspapers and all that before. There's nobody who is pro-media more than me. But I know the difference between media and what Thomas Baldwin called the prerogative of the harlot, the exercise of power without responsibility.
Separately, the High Court has barred Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria from uttering or expressing any insulting and demeaning words against any media practitioner. Justice Lawrence Mugambi has issued the orders following a petition filed by human rights defender Charles Mugane. Mugane filed a case against Kuria following his recent insults and threats against a section of the media. He argues that the remarks by the CS Kuria threaten media freedom, are unconstitutional and offend the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. Justice Mugambi has directed that the matter be served upon the respondents in the case, including the Trade CS and the Attorney General. Now, the matter will be mentioned on the 24th of this month. Speaking in Naivasha, President William Ruto said calls for him to castigate the Cabinet Secretary over his remarks against the media should be equally met with calls to call out the media when it goes rogue.
We must defend the free media. We must defend their right to criticize, to say whatever it is that they want to say, even to write propaganda, even to say the wrong things, even to write falsehood. You know, we must defend that right. But we must also defend the right of those who hold the media to account or who call out the media when the media goes rogue. We must also defend the right of people like Moses Kuria to speak their mind. The same way, we are defending the media to say all the things they want, including the wrong ones, right? And I saw one journalist saying the president should defend us from Moses Kuria. That's fine. I'll do my bit. But I want to ask them, so who is going to defend me from rogue media? Yes. Because I go through hell all the time. Yes. Yeah, so I think we need a fair balance. Yeah, we need a fair balance. And I think if they are feeling pain about what others say about them, it should tell them there are people who feel pain when they write falsehood about others.
And the Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli has warned employers against dismissing workers registered in the union. Atwoli noted that it is a constitutional right for workers to belong to a trade union. Speaking after returning from the International Labour Organization World of Work Summit in Geneva, Switzerland, Atwoli said that the International Labour Organization Summit has further opened doors for Kenyans seeking job opportunities abroad. Tess Njenga now reports.
Employers have been warned against recklessly dismissing workers from their places of employment. Speaking at the COTU headquarters, Secretary General Francis Atwoli asked employers to respect the leadership of trade unions, as it is a constitutional right for workers to belong to a trade union.
Collective bargaining agreement is a constitutional right of every worker and every employer. So I'm appealing to employers to desist from arbitrarily dismissing and sacking the recruited workers into the trade union movement.
The COTU boss highlighted the International Labour Organization World of Work Summit in Geneva, Switzerland's success, saying issues raised will be circulated later. He added that the ILO summit has opened doors for Kenyans to work abroad.
We have a serious committee at the International Labour Organization, known as an STC, Special Technical Committee, which is a tripartite committee. We look into that, and if there is any assistance to be availed to working men and women, employers of this country, and Ministry of Labour that deals with employment in this country, Kenya government and Kenyans at large will be able to access assistance from the International Labour Organization.
Atwoli commended President William Ruto for championing labour rights to include the unemployed. The president said it was alarming that Africa has recorded the highest unemployment rate in the world.
For a long time, it has been very difficult for the International Labour Organization as a UN agency to recognize us, particularly when it comes to employment, promotion, and what have you. This time, I think, doors of the ILC or ILO are open to young men and Kenyan who would like to apply for any type of employment that might have been advertised by the International Labour Organization, because His Excellency the President sold Kenya internationally in Geneva meeting.
Atwoli, who has been appointed to a team of 7 tasked with selecting the next Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, has expressed his gratitude to President Ruto.
I want to thank His Excellency the President to have thought of me and putting me in that particular position. But how we will be able to carry out our interviews and so on, it will be as a result of the meeting of all panelists.
On the issue of domestic workers being oppressed in Saudi Arabia, the COTU boss has blamed unqualified brokers, asking workers to seek other job opportunities in safer environments.
Our proposal is that let government, even if it wants Kenyans to have an access to employment outside Kenya, let it be government to government. These middlemen called employment agencies must be removed. That is our position as COTU. These are the total sellout. And there must be a new policy where labor attaché in Saudi Arabia is the one who will be in a position to keep the record of where you are going to work, to keep your passport, to make sure that if the job is not good or is not conducive to your health or anything of that kind, he or she arranges for your coming back.
Reporting for Hope TV News Watch, I'm Tess Njenga.
Let's take a short break now. We'll be right back with many more stories. Don't go too far.
This week on Testify.
Ancestor worship, we also worship to the traditional, some of the, they call it the heavenly God. So I remember in my family home growing up, we have little altar in the in front of the house and also at the back of the house.
Chinese worldview. So it's about ethics. It's about it's about laboring or working hard to live lives that demonstrates good ethics.
Only on Hope TV. Look and live. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Spotlight.
Do you feel like they are in a place where they can effect a Barack Obama moment?
When you hear the word of God and you hear Jesus is speaking.
Real talk on real issues.
You know the Bible says faith without works is dead.
The truth of the gospel that will survive the time is not a health and wealth gospel.
When there is time to harmonize and bring one composite amendment.
With idealistic, thought-provoking guests.
So people come to be serviced, to be encouraged, to be empowered.
When the storm is over, you desire the closeness you have with God.
Hosted by Reverend Edward Furi.
Welcome back. Now, civil servants will be held accountable for the mismanagement of public resources in their dockets. According to the head of public service, Felix Kosgei, corruption and wastage of public resources by civil servants will not be tolerated. Instead, they should be at the forefront in standing firm against unlawful instructions meant to promote corruption. CS Kosgei was speaking during a consultative meeting for heads of administration, finance, accounts, supply chain management, and internal audit held at the Kenya School of Government. He reiterated President William Ruto's resolve to lead a deliberate, decisive, and sustained war against corruption, terming the vice as the biggest threat to the wealth and well-being of the country, as it had led to stalled projects, pending bills, inaccuracies in financial statements, and poor service delivery to the citizens.
There will be zero tolerance to corruption, and all public officers will be held accountable for their own actions and decisions. It is no longer, it wasn't me. It is no longer, I got direction. It is no longer, I didn't know. This time round, each and every public officer will be held accountable for their actions and decisions. So let us fall back to our procedures, your manuals, PFM Act, PPTA, and all laws that governs our activities that we handle every day. So corruption has become so deeply ingrained that it is even factored into the budgets of institutions, both within and outside government. Clearly, that elevated position of the public service in the achievement of Vision 2023 is under attack and threatening the moral fabric of our nation. And all of us know that this monster is really seriously becoming a challenge, and we can feel this country, this great nation of ours, is under attack, and it has totally threatened the moral fabric of our nation, and we need to face it.
Now, Kenya has made remarkable advancements in enhancing the well-being of mothers and children, with approximately 90% of pregnant women choosing to give birth in healthcare facilities. However, most maternal and neonatal deaths are attributed to delays in accessing services, transportation challenges, and timely intervention to quality healthcare services while at the health facilities. To address these challenges, the government, with other partners, have initiated a public-private partnership to bring the M-Mama program to Kenya. Here is Alice Diana with more.
About 6,000 women and 35,000 newborns still die annually from various complications at birth. This translates to about one mother in every 280. Delays in accessing services, transportation challenges, and timely intervention to quality healthcare services while at the health facilities have been cited as the major causes of maternal and neonatal deaths. In a bid to address these challenges, the government of Kenya, the United States government, through the U.S. Agency for International Development, together with other partners, have agreed to a new public-private partnership to bring the emergency transportation system dubbed M-Mama to Kenya. M-Mama is an emergency referral system that swiftly transports pregnant women and newborns facing complications to appropriate healthcare facilities. A clinically trained dispatcher manages the referrals and confirms facility availability to ensure women and newborns in emergency situations can be promptly managed. The partners are contributing 2.5 billion shillings in a one-time setup cost to implement M-Mama in Kenya. Speaking during the announcement of the program in Kenya, the Council of Governors Chair Anne Waiguru, who narrated the complications she encountered during her third pregnancy that led to her son being born prematurely, stated that the county governments are committed to work with all partners in improving health for the people of Kenya.
My youngest son, for those who know me, know he's very close to my heart. He was born premature, 2 months early. And you can imagine, because of the complication, both of us actually were told if we hadn't gotten into hospital within the hour, none of us would have made it. So this initiative is very personal to somebody like me. I know what it means for any woman out there who may need not just emergency care, but good care to get to a health facility to get the support to deliver safely. So let me thank you once more and retaliate our full commitment to work with all of you in improving health outcomes for the people of Kenya.
Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nahumicha, who presided over the launch of the M-Mama program in Kenya, stated that the government is committed to strengthening the healthcare system and fostering a healthier future for the people of Kenya.
We are happy and grateful that USAID and partners, Vodafone, Safaricom, M-Pesa Foundation, are here and they have already said their commitments. And I want, on behalf of government, to commit good stewardship of the commitments that have been made here today.
M-Mama has been shown to contribute to a 38% decrease in the number of maternal deaths in pilot locations in Africa. Alice Diana, Hope TV Newswatch.
To Turkana now, the veterinary doctors under the Sita Missions Medical and Vet Camp have called on the county veterinary services and the director of veterinary services to take recommended action to prevent and control the spread of sheep and goat pox. This was identified during the vet medical camp that took place in Sarima area, Turkana County. VMP team leader Vet Surgeon Kasmire Chumba noted that they medicated 2,831 animals, which included camels, sheep, and goats. But the most prevalent condition was parasites, ticks, and fleas among the animals. Among the challenges faced during the exercise were language barrier, long distance, resistance from the local residences, and culture shock. The medical and vet camp missions under Sita Missions, in partnership with Mission Aviation Fellowship and Veterinary with a Mission Program.
One of the major challenges in this area is the ectoparasite and the endoparasite. We have been using a drug called ivermectin to all the shots, and that's what we were able to do on Monday mostly. Fast forward to Wednesday, we went to Sarima. We've also handled the shots and camels. We've used the same drug, ivermectin, and we also noted a notifiable disease that is called sheep and goat pox. We were able to do what we do, and we also recommended the condition, because it is a notifiable disease, the administrative have to be notified, and we were able to recommend that to the locals.
Today we managed to do our work early in the morning, from 5 o'clock in the morning. And we were able to handle around 2,831 animals. That includes 234 camels and 2,597 sheep and goats.
Hii ni siku yetu ya tatu eneo hili tangu tuanze
kambi hii yetu ya wamishonari, na jana tumekuwa na changamoto kwa sababu tulikuwa tumepanga twende kijiji kingine, lakini baadaye wazee wakawa na ile kutoelewana na wale vijana wao, wakasema hawahitaji hiyo services yetu ama ile huduma ambayo tungepeleka kule.
One of the 30 suspects being held in police custody for his alleged role in the Shakahola starvation cult has died. Joseph Buyuka, a suspected leader in the cult led by preacher Paul Mackenzie, died from a hunger strike at Malindi GK prison, as 2 others remain hospitalized in critical condition. Buyuka, along with some of the other suspects, had gone on hunger strike at the beginning of the month in protest at his detention. He was where he died. Mackenzie and the other suspects are believed to have encouraged members of the Good News International Church to starve themselves to death. The court is to decide next Tuesday whether Mackenzie will remain in police custody for another 60 days. Since April, 336 bodies have been exhumed from a shallow grave in a remote forest. Some more than 600 other people are missing.
This week on Testify.
Ancestor worship, you also worship to the traditional, some of the, they call it the heavenly God. So I remember in my family home growing up, we have little altar in front of the house and also at the back of the house.
Chinese worldview. So it's about ethics. It's about it's about laboring or working hard to live lives that demonstrates good ethics.
Only on Hope TV. Look and live.
Only God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair. I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga, imenilenga tu kwa tumbo. Nikaitana tu Jesus.
I got tired of working with the x-ray papers, and one day I just woke up and decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit kakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii. Kwa msalaba. Opa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Spotlight.
Do you feel that they are in a place where they can effect a Barack Obama moment?
When you hear the word of God and you hear Jesus is speaking.
Real talk on real issues.
You know, the Bible says faith without works is dead.
The truth of the gospel that will survive the time is not a health and wealth gospel.
When there is time to harmonize and bring one composite amendment.
With idealistic, thought-provoking guests.
So people come to be serviced, to be encouraged, to be empowered.
When the storm is over, you desire the closeness you have with God.
Hosted by Reverend Edward Furi.
On the international scene, a gas explosion has occurred in the 5th arrondissement of Paris, resulting in a fire affecting some buildings. Locals described one big explosion and a smaller one just after 5 p.m. local time. Police have told people to avoid the Val de Grace area after the facade of a building collapsed and the fire appeared to have spread to neighboring buildings. The Paris prosecutor said one person had suffered burns as the cause of the fire remained impossible to determine. Local media BMF TV and Le Figaro reported police sources saying that at least 4 people were in critical condition. A look at business now. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi has furnished the Senate with a list of commodities which have been approved for duty-free importation in the country in an effort to lower the cost of living. They include 1.4 million metric tons of maize, 1.1 million metric tons of rice, 280,000 metric tons of sugar. CS Linturi also disclosed when Kenyans should soon expect cheaper sugar to hit the market.
And we were trying to get private sector participation in bringing the cost of food for purposes of ensuring that we had many participants and for transparency. I did cause an advertisement in the newspapers on December 14th, and out of that advertisement, different importers from all walks of life did apply, and we had a total of 461 applicants. The cost of food has been quite high, and because the National Assembly or Parliament, for that matter, specifically the National Assembly, are not appropriated any money for us to use for procuring any food items, then we realize we must think outside the box. And thinking outside the box is how we will be able to bring in private investment or partnerships, collaboration in ensuring there is sufficient food in the country. This is what is informed this decision of giving people permits to bring food into the country and government waiving duty on them as an incentive so that when food is available in the country, and the expectation that we had was that we will have quite a lot of inflows of food, and the normal forces of demand and supply will be able to cause imbalance because of the inflow of great quantities, and for that matter, be able to reduce the prices of rice, which, Mr. Speaker, I'm very proud to say, today, when this administration took over, a bag of 50-kilogram bag of rice was going for 3,500 and above. And up to now, if anybody went to the market today, that kilogram bag of rice is retailing or selling at a rate of around 1,800, between 1,800 and 200.
And Fortescue Future Industries and Strathmore University have signed a memorandum of understanding at the Africa Energy Forum in Nairobi with the intention of setting Kenya up with the skills and education needed to become a world leader in green energy and green hydrogen production. Under the partnership, FFI and Strathmore will together create programs to nurture talent, promote research, and empower individuals and institutions to support the transition away from fossil fuels in Africa and actively contribute to the region's sustainable development. FFI Africa President Bru Ayele Terfie and Strathmore University Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, Professor Isael De Silva, said the partnership hopes to reshape Africa's energy landscape, accelerate the transition to a low-carbon future, and unlock economic prosperity for communities through the region. And Unilever East Africa has inaugurated its milestone of being the largest and the most modern warehouse in East Africa. Unilever Kenya invested up to 17 billion shillings as it seeks to benefit from the surging demand for consumer goods in the region. Africa Global Logistics has partnered with the supply chain team for the growth of the new warehouse project, which is projected to cut down on cost and enhance the sustainability and affordability of the organization's work.
We will continue to perceive excellence. We will continue to look for ways to improve the service, the costing, and so forth. Our third one is our humility. We went to the room knowing that we don't know everything. And though we are the experts in this business, we might admit at the beginning that we don't have all the answers all the time. And we have collaborated together with the Unilever team and other parties to find the solutions for the challenge that were raised by the team.
There are key values which we all share together, and one of them being collaboration. And today, as you've seen, Unilever and the AGL teams, together with the support of both our customers, the KDs, you see a state-of-the-art warehouse, insourced, sustainable on this site, which is a remarkable achievement. And the fact that this transition took place without any stock loss at all is a testament to everybody. So well done.
I'm already thinking about the next warehouse. How much will be the next warehouse? What will be the surface of the next warehouse? How many factories, how many machines, how many people we're going to hire in order to build the future of Africa and to build the future of Kenya.
This week on Testify.
Ancestor worship, you also worship to the traditional, some of the, they call it the heavenly God. So I remember in my family home growing up, we have little altar in front of the house and also at the back of the house.
Chinese worldview. So it's about ethics. It's about it's about laboring or working hard to live lives that demonstrates good ethics.
Only on Hope TV. Look and live.
Only God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair. I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga imenilenga tu kwa tumbo. Nikaitana tu Jesus.
I got tired of working with the X-ray papers and one day I just woke up and decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated, straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit ikakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii. Kwa msalaba. Opa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
To the sporting arena now, President William Ruto has said Kenya recognizes the vital role played by sporting activities in promoting social and economic development of the country. Speaking during the shakedown at Loldia and KWS training school service parks and Naivasha, Nakuru County, the president said the government appreciates the role of sports in economic development. President Ruto said the government views the Safari Rally with the utmost importance as a socio-economic activity that contributes significantly to the country's economy. He said the government will continue the partnership with sporting organizations to maximize the potential for sports to promote social and economic development in the country.
We have emotional connection with the rally as Kenyans. We grew up watching the rally cars. I didn't know people were enjoying this much being in the cars. You know, we always watch from outside. Today, for the first time, I've watched from inside, and it is amazing. It is awesome. This is not just about the rally cars. It's not about the drivers. It's not about the support teams. It's a whole of Kenya event. The carnival, the excitement, the celebration. I think it's just captivating, and millions of Kenyans are engrossed in this. We will have great difficulty tomorrow and Friday to keep anybody at work.
That our biggest export to the world is not tea, it's not coffee, it's not flowers. Kenya's biggest export to the world is actually sports, our sportsmen and women. Faith Kipyegon breaking 2 world records within the space of 7 days is incredible, absolutely incredible. It markets the country. it sort of beams the global spotlight on the country like nothing else does. And so we are very proud of that heritage, and that is why we are going the extra mile to integrate that whole ecosystem of the various sporting activity, the creative aspects of it.
And this year's Lewa Safari Marathon is set for this Saturday at Lewa Conservancy in Isiolo County. Six-time defending champion Frida Lodepa is expected to take part in the weekend event, which has attracted over 1,200 people. Lodepa embarked on intense training in January this year at her camp in Iten with her Cloud9 Athletics Club in readiness to defend the women's 42-kilometer category, which she dominated last year. The Lewa Safari Marathon races will include the 42-kilometer full marathon, 21-kilometer half marathon, and 10-kilometer races. There will also be a children's 5-kilometer race. The proceeds of the annual race will go towards wildlife conservation.
Mimi kwanza nilisoma mpaka standard 8 sababu nilikuwa kwa ile familia ilikuwa chini kabisa, hata hawange afford kunilipia school fees. Sasa wakati nilikimbia kwa primary, wakati nilifika standard 8 sikuweza kuendelea sababu nilikuwa naishi na single parent na mama. Sasa nikaona maisha imekuwa ngumu. Sasa nikaanza mbio hivyo. Mpaka mahali niko leo, hiyo mbio imebadilisha maisha yangu. Sasa nilikuwa naona Tekla Lorupe akikimbia. Nikiwa msichana mdogo, nikaona akikimbia kwa ile track ya shule. Sasa ndio nikaona naweza kukimbia hii mbio. Na ndio sasa wakati tunatoka shule kwenda nyumbani, sasa nilikuwa nang'ang'ana kukimbia. Nikaanza kupenda hiyo mbio. Wakati nilifika standard 7 nikakimbia kiwanja 400 meters. Nikakuwa nakimbia hiyo 400 meters mpaka nationals. Nikaona sasa naweza kimbia. Wakati nilikimbia Lewa ya kwanza, nilikimbia kama nilikuwa na mtoto mdogo wa 4 months na sikuwa najua naweza kimbia nikimbie vizuri. Wakati nilienda nikajaribu, nilikuwa pia niko na weight, niko mzito. Wakati nilikimbia nikakuwa namba 3 na nikaona naweza kimbia hiyo Lewa vizuri. Nimefurahia hiyo Lewa sababu hali ya anga ndio at least imenifeva kidogo. Kukimbia na hiyo wanyama pia inanifurahisha. It's fun. Unakimbia asubuhi 20 kilometers, jioni naenda 10 kilometers. Alafu Saturdays naenda morning peke yake. Na hiyo naenda 45 kilometers ama 40 kilometers.
And Kenya National Rally Championship star Jasmeet Chana is gearing up for this year's World Rally Championship WRC Safari Rally. Speaking exclusively to Hope TV today after receiving sponsorship from Ruby's Energy, Chana said that his target is to emerge top in the KNRC category. The rally star has hailed the sponsorship, which is in his first in 16 years, adding that this will be a key boost to his endeavors. Ruby's Energy East Africa Group CEO and Managing Director Jean-Christian Bergion said that they are proud to be associated with the talented individuals and wished them the best during the championship. The highly anticipated FIA World Rally Championships kicks off tomorrow at the KICC.
The preps for Safari have been good. The car has gone through a major rebuild. All looks good from our side. And we await for, they call it Washa. For me, in my rallying career, I think it's about 16 years of rallying. I started in 2007. It's the first time I've got a corporate sponsor. I'm out of this world today. I've got a feeling that I've never had. And I would want this partnership to last, till the end of the season, and a backing from Ruby's, which is going to boost me. Make sure we win the Kenya National Championship. Don't drink and drive. Go watch. Be safe. Keep your kids on a safe distance and enjoy the rally.
They are a very good driver, as you may know, and we are providing them with fuel and support and everything in order for them to be able to do great things in the WRC in Nevasha. So that's the beginning of a journey, and once again, we are very proud of being here, very proud of supporting Kenya and the WRC.
And that is how we end News Watch tonight. Thank you for your awesome company. I have been your news anchor, Melissa Oluoko Oduor. Elizabeth Wanjiko has been helping us with the sign language. Have a good night.